If you invest in ETFs, particularly those that pay dividends, you're going to love this video. In this video, I'm going to share with you how it is that you can get the dividend history of a particular ETF right on your Excel or Google Sheet spreadsheet so that you can build custom trackers and screeners that are going to allow you to find attractive ETF investment opportunities faster. Okay, so right away, I'm going to show you how it is that you can get the ETF dividend payment history, as you can see right here. So in this way you will be able to visualize the entire dividend payment history of any particular ETF of your choice. The way that you do this is super simple. You're gonna really enjoy this. So let's start from scratch. I'm going to get rid of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a system that works for pretty much any ETF that you want. And this works on Excel as well as Google Sheets. So whether you want to use one or the other, this method will work on both platforms. The way that you do this is by having the Y Sheets add-on. So Y Sheets is an add-on that works on both Excel and Google Sheets. You can see it right here. And it allows you to get stock data such as dividend data, financial scheme metrics, price data, etc. We have many videos on our channel that you can check out, but in this case we're only going to focus on the ETF dividend data part. So for that, you're going to use the wise price function. For the wise price function, here it's going to guide you step by step. So here it's asking you for symbols, or you can just enter a single symbol. So we're going to enter VU, which is the S&P 500 for Vanguard. This is the ETF. And then what we're going to do next is asking us for the parameter or parameters. In this case, we're only looking for one parameter, and that parameter is the dividend. So we enter dividend here, and now that we have this information, you can see the rest of the information is optional. In this case, we're not going to enter any of this information. You can see that because it's on the square brackets. So this is the information that is essential. So now we click enter, and just like that, you're going to get the dividend payment history of this particular ETF. The cool thing about this too is that what you can do is just move this down, and then you can just go ahead and move this down as well, just like this. And now we can copy paste this here, and we can say ticker. And now we can say, for example, another ETF that pays dividends is SDIV. So instead of saying VU, we can make it dynamic, and we can say, give me this. And now we get the dividend payment history of this particular dividend. Now, if you want to know exactly what this means, so this is the X date. This is the dividend that was paid. This is the adjusted dividend. This is more so for stocks, but it also applies to ETFs as well. And then you have the payment date and the declaration date. So because you have this dynamic now, you can just change it back to VU, and you will see how the data will automatically update. Now what I want to share with you next is how it is that you can get other important ETF dividend information right on your spreadsheet. The next number that is really important is the dividend yield, because the dividend yield, as you know, it tells you exactly what your return on investment would be if you buy the ETF at the current stock price or at the current price. And so the way that you can get this number is very simple. So we're going to enter here dividend yield. For the dividend yield, you're going to use a slightly different formula. And by the way, if you want to know what formula to use and what data is available, you can check out this page, which is going to be linked in the description. So in this case, we're looking for the dividend yield. I know it's in the key metrics, but something you can do is this. Do Command F to search. You can see dividend yield is here, and this is right for the wise function. So now with this information, we could do equals wise, and now the symbol is here. The dividend yield is what we're looking for, and then the period that you're going to use, this is very important, is TTM. TTM gives you the actual dividend yield at the current price of the ETF. So once you have this, then you can format this as a percentage, and now we have the dividend yield. Next up, what if we want to get the amount that was paid in dividends for a particular year? So rather than getting the whole dividend history, you can also only get get a particular time period and year. I'm going to show you both of those options. So first, starting with the particular year, what you can do is very simple. We could use the WISE function again. And in this case, we're looking at this parameter that we're going to get is dividend. And again, this is something you can find on the R data page. And now what we're looking for is the period. So for the period, we're going to enter the specific year we're looking for. So in this case, let's do 2022. Once we have the information, we can click enter, and now we can format this as a dollar amount, and here we go. This is what we should get. And now what we can go ahead and do is verify this number. So 2022, you can see it starts here. So if we sum all of these numbers right here, you can see the sum is 5947, and this is basically the same number. You can see it right here. So this is a cool way of just getting that amount. Now, the other thing that you can do if you're only looking for a specific time period, or if you want to get, for example, just the adjusted dividend, you can do something like this. So you could do WISE price. We're going to enter the ticker, and then we're going to enter the parameter is going to be dividend again. You're going to number days to end. This doesn't apply to this. So we're going to enter comma to skip it. And now here it's asking us what is the start date and the end date. So in this case, what we're going to do is for the start date, we're going to enter the date itself. So let's say 01/30/2019. And now the end date is going to be 01/30/2022. So now we close this, and we should only get the dividend data for this time period. So as you can see, we have the data here. Now something that you can do is, let's say you wanted to get the sum of this or this in one single value. What you could do is this. You could go ahead, we're going to copy paste this. The only thing that you need to do in this case is change the reference of the ticker. So we're going to move it here to VU, and now we're going to get just this. So the way that you could do this, since Y-Sheets is directly integrated on your spreadsheet, you can use any of the current spreadsheet functions available. So in this case, we're going to use the index function, and then it's going to say which row do you want or which column. So in this case, we don't care about the row. Click comma, we're looking at the column. So the column you can see is G. So this is 1, 2, 3. So we want to get column 3. Now we can close the function, and here we go. Now we only get this column. Something that we could also do is literally just copy paste this. I'm just going to lock this in so that way we don't have to change the ticker again. So we're going to do this. I'm going to put it here. And now we could also wrap this up in the sum function. And what this does is it's going to give us the sum of all the numbers right here. So now we wrap it up, and now gives us the numbers. So is that correct? Yes. If you look at the sum right here, it's the same number. So these are the many different ways in which you can access dividend information for ETFs. Now I want to show you how it is that you can put this together and start to build perhaps what looks like a dividend screener for ETFs. So in order to build this screener, what we need to do is to get a list of ETFs. One of the best way to do this is to use the Y-Sheet screener, which by the way is still in beta. So by the time you see this video, there's going to be some improvements and some additions that are going to make this even more powerful. So what we're looking here is we could add different filters. So in this case, we're going to enter is ETF because that's what we're looking for. We're also going to enter dividend, and we're going to keep this the way that it is. So now we have this information is actively trading. This is great. We can get rid of this. Here we're going to go here on select this and now get rid of it. We're also going to get rid of the price and the market cap. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select companies that are actively traded or ETFs that are actively traded. We're going to select ETFs only, and now we're going to look for ETFs that have a dividend greater than 2. This is a dividend payment, by the way. So with this information, we can click on get data, and right away we're going to get our list of ETFs right here. You can see it's a massive list. So we can shorten the list. So let's say we only want to look at 140 companies. So I'm I'm going to do this, get rid of this, go to the top, zoom in, and you're going to see right away that you're going to get a whole bunch of information. So I'm going to expand this so you can see this better, but we have information such as the ETF name, not necessarily company name in this case, market cap, sector, industry. This is empty because they're ETFs. We have the price, the last annual dividend, the volume, the exchange, and all this other information that you can see right here. So right away, you can start to filter using information such as the market cap. You can also filter by the last annual dividend. So this is helpful because you can see what are the companies that are paying the highest and the lowest. This information though, in this case, we don't really care about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start getting rid of stuff that doesn't matter to us. We're going to get rid of this gray. So this is good. And now we're going to get rid of this information as well. You could keep it if you want, but in this case, it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to add 2 different columns just so that you see how powerful this is. So the first one that we're going to use is we're going to get the dividend yield, and the other one, just to show you the power, is that we're going to get the dividend amount for a specific year. So starting off with the dividend yield, you already know this is the spelling. So now we're going to enter dividend yield. Here we're going to enter dividend 2022. Now with this setup, we can start to go ahead and get the data. So we're going to use the WISE function again. We're going to select the symbol. We're looking for the dividend yield. This is something that we're going to lock in, so that way we could drag the function down. And then we're going to select TTM just like we did before. Perfect. Now we have the dividend yield. So we're going to go ahead and expand this, and now we can go ahead, drag this down or double click it, and this will populate all the different values that we have on our spreadsheet. In this case, we just need to get rid of this because there's no data. And here we go. Right away, you start to get all the dividend yields. There's some companies or some ETFs that are not available, so we could just get rid of those. But as you can see, this is quite powerful. And now we're going to do the same for the dividend payment in 2022. So the way that we do this again is we're going to use the WISE function, enter the symbol. In this case, we're going to enter manually dividend, and we are looking for 2022 data. So close the bracket, click enter. Here we go. Now we're going to format this as a dollar amount, and we could drag it down just to show you the difference. And the same thing is going to happen. We're going to get our list populated with all the different dividend values right here. So this is super helpful. Now what I recommend that you do is this. So let's say that you want to filter based on these values. Right now, if you create a filter, if you go here, press here, the data will automatically reload, and it's going to take some time to load. So rather than doing that, what I recommend that you do is this. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy the data, paste it on a new spreadsheet, but we're going to paste it as values only. Perfect. And now what we're going to do is we're going to copy the top, paste it right here, and this is fine. So that way we keep the same formatting, expand this. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to get the data in a slightly different way. So we're going to use cell references. So we're gonna say equals, and now we're gonna enter this. And this is basically going to get the data that we have on the other sheet. So we're gonna drag it down. I believe there was 140 companies. So I think this is the end, but if I keep dragging it down, you will see that once you reach the point where it says 0, you can get rid of this, go to the top, and now what we can do is select the filter. Now we have the filters, and so now we can expand this so this way you can see everything better. Zoom in. And the beauty about this is that now you can filter, for example, based on the dividend yield. So you can say, show me the companies that have the lowest dividend yield, the ones that have the highest dividend yield. And you can do the same for all these different categories without the data automatically refreshing. Now you might be asking yourself a critical question, which is, how is it that I can refresh the data, for example, the dividend yield, which changes all the time based on the stock price? The answer to that question question is very simple. This is where you go back to the original tab where you created the screener. Now you're gonna go to the White Sheets add-on, and in every single menu of the White Sheets add-on, you will see this option right here to refresh the live data. So you're gonna click here, and as you can see, the cells will start to load and repopulate with the latest data for all these different companies. So as you can see, all of the cells stop loading, and now we have all the data right here. And because we're referencing the data on the other spreadsheet, you will see the data changes will automatically translate to the data right here. One more thing, of course, is you can always change the formatting and do anything that you want. So for example, here we can change this to percentage again. We can also change this to $, etc., etc. But now you get the idea. Now you know how to get the dividend payment history of a particular ETF. So be sure to use this information so that way you can make good investment decisions for yourself and for those people that you most care about. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification zone so that way you get notified every time we release a new video like this that's gonna allow you to take your investing game to the next level. I'll see you in the next one.